Hello, I'm Patrick Farnsworth. Welcome to Access and Privacy Online Commentary. Here's a segment from our weekly rundown. Building off the prior segment, we have a discussion that reflects on 20 years of anti-terrorism efforts in Canada and the privacy implications that have emerged. FIPA is the proud sponsor and member of the International Civil Liberties Monitoring Group, or ICLMG. Following 9/11, we saw a massive expansion of the national security state in the United States, Canada, and elsewhere. There were impacts across the board, including tightening of border restrictions, new rights violating anti-terror laws, unjustified military invasions, exponential increases in surveillance, arbitrary detention and torture, criminalization and attacks on dissent, a surge in religious, racial, and political profiling, and much more. In response, the ICLMG was formed to counter and monitor the attacks on civil liberties. This included lots of intersecting issues with access to information and privacy. While 9/11 was over 20 years ago, the work and activities continue. Defending Civil Liberties in an Age of Counterterrorism and National Security is a new publication from the ICLMG. It features 27 pieces from leading experts, activists, and ICLMG members, reflecting on the past 20 years and the challenges that lie ahead. Joining me now is Tim McSorley, National Coordinator of the International Civil Liberties Monitoring Group. Tim, it is no understatement to recognize that the threat to civil liberties remains as relevant now as 20 years ago. So the first question I have is, what has been the largest impact as you look back over the past 20 years?
First, I just want to thank everyone at the BC Freedom of Information and Privacy Association for being members and supporting the work of our coalition. The only way we can do any of our work is because of members like you and the incredibly valuable work you do on privacy and access. I think one of the biggest impacts our coalition has had over the past 20 years has been to help drag the work of Canada's national security agencies and issues around surveillance, racial, religious, and political profiling, and erosion of due process in the courts out of the shadows and into the public sphere. We're certainly not doing that alone, but counterterrorism and national security agencies operate mostly in secret, and there's been very little transparency or accountability over the past 20 years. But we've done our best to raise these concerns on Parliament Hill, in the media, and with the public, and we've been able to secure some real change, including successfully campaigning for the creation of independent review and oversight bodies who can really investigate the work of these agencies. But it all starts with making sure people know about it, know about the impacts, and that we'll keep speaking out until something changes.
And now for the second question, what is the biggest threat moving forward?
What's the biggest threat moving forward? That's a good question, and a hard one to answer because there's so many issues that we're facing right now. That includes how national security and intelligence agencies are using artificial intelligence, continuing increases in biometric surveillance, like facial recognition technology, systemic racism and Islamophobia, and how Canada's anti-terrorism laws are applied. One of the biggest challenges we're facing right now, though, is around how the government is working to counter allegations of foreign interference. It's clear that there's an issue, especially around transnational repression of human rights activists and political dissidents, for example. But the recently adopted Countering Foreign Interference Act, also known as Bill C-70, contained a staggering amount of changes that will increase government surveillance, facilitate information sharing between intelligence and security agencies, both in Canada and internationally, establish vague rules that could be used to criminalize protest and dissent, especially around international issues, and could further entrench, or rather will further entrench, the use of secret evidence in courts. It was also passed in an incredible rush with very little debate or scrutiny. We're going to keep a close eye on how it's being implemented. Along with this, we've seen concerning rises in racism, xenophobia, calls to shut down protests, and to tighten the border, all things we've heard throughout the past 2 decades. This is also an example of how we may not be talking about the war on terror anymore, but its impacts continue to be felt today.
We're really big fans here at FIPA of the work that you do. So what can people do to support the work?
Well, if people want to support us, there's a few ways it can do so. First, I'd encourage people to visit our website at iclmg.ca to learn about these issues and to take action. We have a lot of tools online to contact your members of parliament and other government officials, and it really makes an impact when they hear from constituents. People can also amplify our work by following and sharing our social media posts. You can find us by looking up ICLMG on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And you can also sign up for our bi-weekly news digest on our website, again at iclmg.ca. Second, if you're part of an organization who you think would like to join the coalition, please reach out. Our strength really is in our membership. And finally, we're wholly funded by our member organizations and by individuals. You can donate at iclmg.ca/donate, or right now, we're also selling copies of our 20th anniversary publication at iclmg.ca/20years.
Thank you, Tim. We'll include all the contact information to the ICLMG and this release in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, Tim, and we look forward to working with you going forward. Access and Privacy Online reviews the headlines and delivers deeper commentary on a regular basis. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and get the full episodes every week and notifications when we release show segments and other commentary. Thank you for making us part of your day. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a good one.